Get things going, I'll go ahead and put my pasta. I usually like to time my dishes so my pasta goes straight into the pan. So if the pasta takes about 8 minutes and the chicken breast will take about the same, and then we'll get our mushrooms going. Throw my chicken breast on. One of the chefs that we're involved with, his name's John Howie. He's from Seattle, and he owns Sea Star Restaurant. He has a couple different rubs. And this is a weird rub. He takes dried porcini mushrooms and he purees them. And he'll even do like a mushroom rub on mushrooms. And he also does these planks. It tastes really good. But I really like the mushroom rub, and often I'll sort of combine some seasoning with another seasoning. So since I'm using some sauteed mushrooms, I thought the mushroom rub would be good. Really what you're looking for is some salt and pepper, and at the very least, and then if you have spices that you like, by all means use those. You don't have to use this rub to make this dish. It's just it's a nice seasoning. I like to I use these grills that you put on your stove quite often. I read once they did a study with a bunch of chefs, and they grilled on charcoal. They grilled on a gas grill and mesquite, and none of the chefs could tell the difference on what the meat was cooked on. So it's more for our nose, I think, and sort of fun to cook in the backyard that way. But really what we're doing is we're caramelizing the meat, and we're getting grill marks, which makes it look pretty. But the most part is what the fat does when it hits the flame, and that caramelization is that flavor that we're really looking for in grilled meats. So that's the one thing to think about, whether or not it's worth burning the charcoal in the backyard or not. Now mushrooms, if you're doing a light cream sauce, which we are, it's best to use mushrooms that are still closed. As they open up, they'll darken your sauce, so that's something to keep in mind. Let me use this knife. I didn't grab any butter. I'll grab some butter to get these sauteing. Mushrooms always seem to have, you have to sort of coax the moisture out of them. So you can use some wine, some butter, or some olive oil. But if I'm going to do a cream sauce, I usually will stick with butter, so it all sort of goes together. We're going to use a fair amount of cream today. So. Cream's not bad, it's just how much you use of it and how often you eat it. I don't recommend it every night. But the chefs like to use cream because it just makes such a wonderful sauce. And if you're mushroom challenged area, this butter won't come out. Also, if you're looking to do your chicken breast so that it has grill marks or your steak, the best thing to do is just let it sit. Let the grill marks do it. If you start messing with it, you're gonna mess up your grill marks. And I just want enough butter to get these going. Give our pasta a stir. Usually it'll start sticking together about this time or on the bottom of your pot. And you want to season both sides of your chicken breast. So I usually season one side, let it sit on the grill, and then season the other side. And if you actually are using a grill that has great, use a lot more seasoning, because most of your seasoning is going to end up falling off the chicken. So keep that in mind as well when you're doing stuff on a real grill. And these are just red seedless grapes. I've noticed that grapes go well with chicken. They go well with fish. There was a chef that I know in town here. He's been here for years, and he makes a signature dish, and he always uses grapes. He uses the white grapes, but it's really good with a big filet of sole, nice fresh filet of sole. Turn my chicken. Now if you were looking to do grilled marks because you wanted a nice looking steak, this would be a good time to do a quarter turn. Then you're going to get the grilled marks to go like that. And often, and I may do this if I'm running out of time and my dish is finished, I'll just butterfly the chicken real quick just to get rid of that rawness on the inside. Just sear it off, and then the moisture doesn't have any time to rush out. Add some garlic to this. I often will take a whole bowl and put it in a Ziploc and smash the whole bowl. That way you don't have the garlic paper all over the place. And what you don't use, you just throw back in the fridge. I'm not a big fan of the already pureed garlic. I don't mind if it's already peeled. It seems fine, but the stuff that's pureed just seems to have there's some flavor to it that I just don't like. I'll smoke you guys out. One way to mash your garlic, if you don't want to use a garlic press, is use the back side of your knife. And you just shave it off. But you want to use a knife that's wide enough. This would be too narrow. So use a knife that's got some width to it. If you do it this way, then you don't have to spend your time cleaning the garlic press when you're done. I don't mind using garlic press, it's just the pain of cleaning them afterwards because the garlic always gets stuck in those little holes. Plus, I don't think you'd find a garlic press in a professional kitchen. I don't know many chefs that would take the time. Usually we'll take a whole handful, throw it in the Cuisinart with a little olive oil, and do a big batch. Pretty much my philosophy is if you're cooking the garlic, I don't think you can use too much. I really haven't had anybody say, hey, that's just too much garlic in that. It's different if it's raw because it has a bite to it and it's hot. So for the mushrooms, we're just looking to put a little bit of color on them. Once you get that caramelization of the mushrooms, that's when their flavor really changes. But you also don't want to get the garlic too brown. Good time to check pasta. If you're not totally confident in getting your pasta perfectly timed with your dish, always just cool it down. Cool it all the way down because it'll hold its temperature for quite a while and it'll just keep on cooking if you put it straight into a strainer, and you'll end up with mushy pasta. And really the best way to test your pasta is cool it all the way down, because if it's soft when you bite it now, which it's not, still a little, it's too al dente, it might seem right out of the pot like it's soft enough because it's so hot in here, the molecules are moving and it'll seem soft, but once you put it into the pan, mix it, put it into a dish, it'll cool another 30, 40 degrees by the time a person eats it. It still might seem undercooked, so really your best bet is run it under cold water. I'll show you this is generally how I butterfly. I'll just do it right on the grill. A sharp knife helps. And this way we only have a couple more minutes, where if I had to grill it all the way through, what I'm going to do is end up drying out the outside while waiting for the inside to get cooked. Doing it this way, it's going to cook much quicker and should be a lot more moist. Another nice thing about using the pasta right out of the water into your dish is you haven't washed off any of the starch. So it's going to help thicken your sauce a little bit. Reducing the cream will do that, but as you reduce the cream, it gets richer and richer and more calories. So it's one way of saving a few calories. And of course, if you're doing a carbonara or something like that, that's what you use, the pasta water. Turn that down a little bit. See, that's pretty much done. Had I not done it, we're looking at another 7-8 minutes of cooking it. And now, of course, I don't want it to dry out because you can see how moist it is. So, 1 second on each side. Sit there, and that way I'll get a little bit of the heat from the stove, which shouldn't cool down too much. The pasta's getting pretty close. This is whole whipping cream. Now this might seem a little unusual, but for my salt I'm going to use chicken bouillon. And it's twofold. It gives us our salt, of course, but it also adds a little bit of richness to the pasta sauce, excuse me. Add a little bit of black pepper. And this is a Asian sweet chili sauce, very common, sort of like Asian ketchup. Almost, if you go to Asia, they use it a lot. Just going to add a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of spice. And when your sauce is reducing, most important thing to do is just keep pulling it away from the edges so that it doesn't stick. It's not likely to burn, but it's much easier to deal with your sauce while it's reducing uniformly. Turn that down a little bit. Now the thickness is getting pretty close. If I got a little bit thicker, it's going to be alright because I'm adding the pasta, and of course there's a little bit of water in there. And I generally add my Parmesan cheese into the sauce. I'd rather have it in the sauce than sprinkled on top. And of course, the Parmesan cheese is also going to thicken that up a little bit as well. So you got to think about that as in the texture of your sauce. So really, what we want is a sauce that grabs onto our pasta. So when we put it in the bowl, it doesn't all slide to the top, and the pasta's sitting on above it. It's pretty much what I'm looking for. I always like to clean up the side of the bowl. some sliced almonds. And there you go, all done.